Number 10. Planning every detail of your day. Have you ever wondered why you feel uneasy when even one small part of your day doesn't go exactly as you imagined? It's because planning every detail of your day isn't just a habit. It's a survival strategy you built without realizing it. You don't plan because you love structure. You plan because unpredictability feels dangerous. You wake up already calculating. Your mind races ahead, arranging your day like a fragile domino chain where one wrong move can knock everything down. You plan what you'll eat, when you'll leave, how long each task should take, what conversations you might have, and even how those conversations might end. You map out your day like a battlefield, because chaos feels like an enemy you can't afford to face unprepared. But here's the hidden truth. This level of planning is not about efficiency. It's about protection. You're trying to protect yourself from embarrassment, from mistakes, from disappointment, from anything that might catch you off guard. And every time something unexpected happens, a sudden message, a delay, a change of direction, you don't just feel irritated, you feel attacked. You feel like someone just touched the one thing you still have control over, the structure you built to hold your world together. People think you're organized. They think you have life figured out, but they don't see the anxiety beneath that perfect schedule, the constant pressure to keep everything aligned, the fear that if one thing breaks, you will break with it. The saddest part? You've forgotten that life isn't supposed to be controlled. It's supposed to be lived. And the day you loosen your grip, even slightly, you'll discover something surprising. The world doesn't fall apart, only the fear does. Number 9. Triple checking schedules or reminders. Why do you check the same reminder 3 times, even when you clearly remember what it said the first time? Why do you open your calendar again just to confirm an event you already confirmed moments ago? It's not forgetfulness. It's fear disguised as responsibility. Triple checking schedules is what happens when your mind no longer trusts the world. And, more painfully, it no longer trusts you. You look at the reminder once. Your brain understands it, but a small, quiet whisper inside tells you, what if you misread it? What if you forgot something? What if you ruin everything because of one tiny mistake? So you check again, and then again. Not because you need the information, but because you need reassurance. Every check becomes a tiny moment of safety, like locking a door even though you know you locked it already. You're not checking the task. You're checking your ability to rely on yourself. But the problem is, the more you check, the less you trust. It becomes a loop. You don't trust, you check. Checking gives temporary relief. Relief fades, doubt returns. You check again, and the cycle becomes a prison disguised as being careful. People around you think you're simply thorough, maybe even disciplined, but they don't see the storm inside. The pressure to never slip, never miss, never let life catch you off guard. You're not afraid of forgetting something. You're afraid of the consequences of forgetting. You fear that one overlooked detail will make things collapse, or make you look careless, or make you face a situation you don't feel prepared for. But here's the reality you rarely allow yourself to believe. You don't need to verify everything 3 times to be safe. Your life is not going to fall apart because you trusted yourself once. And maybe the real escape isn't in checking more. It's in finally believing that you are allowed to be human. Number 8. Keeping multiple backup plans. Most people have a plan A. Some have a plan B. But you? You secretly carry plans C, D, E, F, all the way to the alphabet's exhaustion. And on the surface, it looks impressive, like you're someone who's prepared for anything. But deep inside, there's a quieter truth. You prepare for every scenario because unpredictability feels like danger, not possibility. Backup plans are not your strategy. They're your shield. You build them the way someone builds walls, hoping that if one door collapses, you won't be exposed. Because what you fear most isn't failure. It's being caught helpless in the middle of it. Whenever you imagine something going wrong, your mind instantly creates an alternate path, and then another. It's like your brain is constantly running simulations of disasters that haven't happened, and probably never will. But you still plan, because the thought of having no backup triggers a fear you can't fully explain. It feels like standing on a bridge without railings. Your backup plans become your anxiety's insurance policy. They give you the illusion of safety, the illusion of control, and for a moment, you feel secure. But here's the painful part. The more backup plans you create, the more you train your brain to expect things to go wrong. And that expectation slowly becomes a belief. It becomes the lens through which you see the future. Uncertain, risky, unstable. People think you're overly cautious. They admire your preparation. They don't see the weight it puts on your chest, the exhaustion of carrying every possible outcome in your mind. What if you didn't need to plan for every collapse? What if you trusted yourself to handle life when it comes? Messy, unpredictable, unfiltered? Backup plans can protect you, but they can also imprison you in worlds that don't exist. And the day you choose to walk forward without preparing for every direction, that's the day you realize control was never the point. Courage was. Number 7. Refusing to delegate small tasks. There's a strange kind of tension that rises in your chest when someone says, "Don't worry, I'll handle it." Most people feel relief, but you You feel panic. Because refusing to delegate isn't about being hardworking. It's about feeling terrified that someone else will drop something you've been holding together with shaky hands. You take responsibility for every little thing, tasks that others could do easily. You hold on to them like they're fragile glass you can't risk giving away. You tell yourself, it's just easier if I do it. But deep inside, you're afraid. Afraid that if someone else takes over and something goes wrong, the blame will fall on you. Or worse, the situation will spin out of control and you won't be able to fix it. So you keep everything close. You micromanage, you double handle, you silently burn yourself out because letting someone else take charge feels like handing them the steering wheel of a moving car while you're still sitting in it. You don't trust easily, not because people are unreliable, but because you learned somewhere along the way that if you don't manage everything, things fall apart. Maybe you grew up in a home where responsibility was forced on you too early. Maybe you learned that mistakes had consequences you couldn't afford. Maybe being strong became the only way to survive. But here's what no one tells you. When you refuse to delegate, you're not protecting the task. You're protecting yourself from the fear of losing control. Yet this protection comes with a cost. Your mind becomes cluttered, your days become heavy, and you start carrying tasks that were never meant to belong to one person. Delegating isn't weakness, it's trust. And trust is not built by giving someone a huge responsibility. It's built by letting go of just one small thing and realizing the world didn't crumble when you allowed yourself to rest. Number 6. Strictly timing meals or workouts. There's a quiet alarm inside you, one that no one else hears. It rings at the exact time you're supposed to eat, or supposed to work out, or supposed to follow that routine you've created with military precision. And if something interrupts it, if food is late, if your workout shifts by even 15 minutes, your whole inner world feels disturbed. Most people see consistency as discipline, but for you, timing isn't about discipline. It's about stability. It's the one part of your day that feels predictable, measurable, controllable. A meal at the same time, a workout at the same hour. It becomes more than a routine. It becomes an anchor, because deep down, you fear what happens when you don't follow the pattern. Maybe you fear feeling unproductive. Maybe you fear losing momentum. Maybe you fear the old version of yourself, the one you've worked so hard to outrun, will return if you stop holding the line so tightly. So you create rigid timing. You turn simple actions into rituals. You tell yourself it's about health, about discipline, about self-care. But the truth is much more vulnerable. Timing gives you the illusion that you're still in charge of your life. And when the timing breaks, even slightly, your thoughts start racing. You feel guilty, you feel behind, you feel like you've failed at something as basic as managing your own day. But here's what you rarely admit to yourself. The body doesn't panic when the clock shifts. The mind does. The version of you that fears losing control clings to timing because it's something that doesn't argue back. It doesn't surprise you. It doesn't change without permission. Yet the moment you experiment with letting a meal be late, letting a workout shift, letting life move without your stopwatch, you discover something powerful. Your worth was never tied to perfect timing. And your life won't fall apart just because a schedule does. Number 5. Panicking at last-minute changes. There's a very specific kind of fear that hits you when plans change suddenly. It's not irritation. It's not disappointment. It's a punch, right in the center of your chest, as if the ground beneath your feet moved without warning. Most people can adjust, but for you, last-minute changes feel like a threat. Because you didn't just make a plan, you built your sense of safety around it. You prepared your mindset, you aligned your emotions, you rehearsed the day in your head. And when something shifts at the last second, someone cancels, someone calls, someone suggests something new, the version of you that relies on predictability starts to shake. You feel your heart speed up. Your thoughts scatter. Your brain tries to rebuild the lost plan in milliseconds, searching for something solid to grab onto. People say, relax, it's not a big deal, but they don't understand that for you, it is a big deal. Because unpredictability feels like losing control of the steering wheel while the car is still moving. Maybe you grew up in chaos, where plans were broken without warning. Maybe you learned that surprises usually meant something bad. Maybe you learned to survive by pre-planning everything, because not knowing what comes next felt unsafe. So when a change hits, your mind doesn't see it as a simple adjustment. It sees it as a danger. It tries to protect you by panicking. But here's what you need to hear. The panic doesn't mean you're weak. It means you've been strong for too long in environments that never gave you stability. Yet life will always shift, twist, surprise, and collide with your expectations. And the more you practice staying still in those moments, taking a breath, grounding yourself, reminding your mind that a change is not a threat, the more you begin to break the old pattern. Because maybe last-minute changes aren't trying to ruin your day. Maybe they're trying to teach you that control is not the only way to feel safe. Sometimes flexibility can protect you just as much. Number 4. Over-preparing for simple events. It's strange, isn't it? How something as simple as meeting a friend, going to a small gathering, or stepping out for a quick errand becomes a full mental operation in your mind. Most people prepare. You over-prepare. You rehearse conversations. You imagine worst-case scenarios. You pack things just in case something extremely unlikely happens. You check the directions 3 times, you check the weather twice, and you even plan your responses to situations that probably won't even exist. And the world sees this as being responsible, but you know it's something deeper, more fragile. Over-preparation is your armor, a shield against the possibility of embarrassment, mistakes, awkward silence, missteps, or anything that might make you feel exposed. Somewhere along your journey, life taught you that being unprepared leads to pain. Maybe someone criticized you once. Maybe you were thrown into chaos without warning. Maybe you were blamed for things you didn't control. So now you try to control everything, even the smallest moments. You plan outfits for tiny events. You think of backup jokes for casual conversations. You bring items you'll probably never use. You create mental scripts for situations that won't happen. Not because the event is big, but because the fear behind it is. Your anxiety doesn't measure the size of the situation. It measures the size of the risk your heart feels. But here's the quiet truth you rarely hear. Life doesn't test you as harshly as you fear. Most moments pass softly. Most conversations don't need rehearsing. Most events don't require armor. When you over-prepare, you miss the chance to trust yourself in the present moment. You forget that you are capable even without a script, without a plan, without a perfectly arranged mental map. And the day you show up as you are, without a backpack full of just-in-case fears, you'll feel something you haven't felt in a long time: lightness, freedom, the relief of finally letting life unfold without trying to control every corner of it. Number 3. Needing constant access to your phone. You tell yourself you're just checking something quickly, but deep down, you know the truth. Your phone has become your emergency exit, your safety line, your shield against uncertainty. It's not addiction. It's attachment born from fear. Fear that you'll miss something important. Fear that someone will need you. Fear that you'll be unprepared, unaware, unreachable. So you keep your phone close, always charged, always in your hand, always within reach. Even when you're not using it, your mind stays tethered to the idea of it. The moment it's not near you, a small panic rises in your chest, like a voice whispering, "What if something happens and you don't know?" That fear didn't appear out of nowhere. Maybe you once depended on messages or calls to feel wanted. Maybe you went through situations where silence meant danger. Maybe uncertainty used to hurt you. And now the phone feels like the only constant you can control. So you check it again and again. Notifications become mini reassurances. The screen becomes proof that the world is still moving the way you expect. The moment it goes silent, your thoughts fill the gaps with worry. People think you're distracted or addicted, but they don't understand that you're searching for safety, not entertainment. You fear missing out not because of curiosity, but because of the feeling that being out of the loop makes you vulnerable. But here's the hidden truth. Your phone is not the anchor you think it is. It's a substitute for emotional security you never learned to trust in yourself. The real calm comes when you finally allow silence to exist without trying to fill it. When you let moments breathe without checking if the world still needs you. Because life doesn't fall apart when you put the phone down. Your mind just finally gets the space to hear itself again. And maybe, for the first time, learn to trust the quiet. Number 2. Organizing things to the point of obsession. There's a certain peace you feel when everything is finally in its perfect place. Lined up, color-coded, arranged, symmetrical. But that peace doesn't last long, does it? Because the moment something shifts even slightly, your mind starts buzzing again. For most people, organizing is a task. For you, it's a lifeline. You don't arrange things because you love neatness. You arrange them because chaos terrifies you. An unmade bed feels like an unfinished thought. A crooked object feels like a warning. A messy space feels like something in your life is slipping, even if nothing has actually gone wrong. Every drawer becomes a battlefield where you're trying to win back control. Every shelf becomes a negotiation between order and panic. You tell yourself, "I just like things clean." But the truth is deeper, more fragile. External order is your way of calming internal storms. The moment something is out of place, your chest tightens. You feel restless, uneasy, almost guilty, like the disorder is a reflection of you. And you fix it instantly, not because it must be perfect, but because you can't tolerate the feeling of something's off. Somewhere in your life, unpredictability taught you to fear disorder. Maybe your world used to shift without warning. Maybe you grew up around instability. Maybe the people around you were unpredictable, and the only thing you could control was your environment. So you built a world made of straight lines and perfect corners, a world where you can breathe. But here's the quiet truth you rarely hear. Your worth isn't measured by the perfection of your space. A crooked picture frame doesn't mean your life is falling apart. A messy desk doesn't mean you're losing control. Disorder outside doesn't mean disaster inside. And sometimes letting things stay slightly imperfect, letting the world breathe, letting objects exist where they fall, teaches you something powerful. Life doesn't need symmetry to stay stable, and neither do you. Number 1. Feeling anxious when plans get canceled. Most people feel relieved when plans get canceled. They smile, stretch, and enjoy the unexpected free time. But you? You feel that sharp, sinking discomfort in your stomach, the kind that arrives before your mind even understands what's happening. Because for you, canceled plans aren't a break. They're a disruption, a sudden empty space you don't know how to fill. You spend hours mentally preparing for the event, organizing your emotions, rehearsing interactions, setting your energy, aligning yourself with what was supposed to happen. And when it disappears suddenly, it feels like someone erased a section of your day and left a blank page for you to stare at. That blankness isn't peaceful, it's unsettling. It reminds you of uncertainty, unpredictability, lack of structure, all the things you've spent years trying to protect yourself from. You start wondering, what do I do now? Why does this feel wrong? Why does this feel like something is slipping out of my hands? And underneath those questions lies the real fear. The fear that you don't feel safe when life becomes unstructured. Maybe canceled plans remind you of disappointments you experienced before. Maybe last-minute changes used to come with emotional consequences. Maybe you learned too early that when people pull away, it means something bad. So now, even harmless change feels like a threat. You're not upset about the plan itself, you're upset about the emotional preparation you made, the control you lose, and the sudden emptiness that leaves you exposed to your own thoughts. But here's something powerful to hold on to. A canceled plan is not a rejection. It's not a failure. It's not a sign that your day has lost meaning. It's simply an unexpected pause, a moment you can fill with rest or reflection or nothing at all. Life won't always follow the timeline you build, but you are allowed to breathe when that timeline bends. You are allowed to exist without structure, and you are allowed to feel safe, even when the plan disappears.